So, Corporal Backus, here we are.
Hello.
In the garage of the RCMP.
That's right. Yeah, yesterday call, we, as part of an ongoing investigation, we executed a search warrant at a piece of property in Meadow Creek. And one of the things that was, well, as a result of the search warrant, we seized over 150 outdoor marijuana plants. And we also seized several firearms from the residents, some of which were actually loaded on the residents. So this is a large part of us trying to really focus on targeting individuals that are growing at a higher capacity, and so I thought what I'd do today is we just show you a little bit about this marijuana grow, and just some of the things about it that might be of the interest to the community, and explain to the community a little bit more about why we're doing the things we do. Certainly one of the first things I wanted to point out about this marijuana grow is that the average plant, and I'll just sort of show this to you here. For those of you who don't know, and I don't know, I'm not exactly a huge professional on it, but what I am aware of is that this marijuana plant, you can see, stands about 2.5 feet tall. And it's obviously the bud of the marijuana plant that the people that the marijuana smokers and growers, this is the valuable part that gets dried out and then smoked later on. The thing that's unique about these plants is, you'll see with this one, is that although it's just a 2 to 3 foot plant, that the majority of the marijuana plant is bud. A 2 or 3 foot plant will average about between 3 to 4 ounces of dried marijuana in the end. I would suggest to you that there is at least a minimum of ½ pound of bud on this plant right now. So although the plant is the same size, it's just either it's been genetically altered or grown or provided extra nutrients that it would produce more bud.
And this is outdoor, not indoor.
This was an outdoor plant, right? A normal marijuana plant, when it starts out in the spring outdoors at 18 hours of daylight. And so what happens is, as fall grows nearer, the daylight becomes less. And it isn't usually until we're around 12 hours of daylight that a marijuana plant starts to sense naturally that fall is on the way and would start producing bud. So in some way or another, this marijuana plant has been told through either the cover or something that fall was on the way, and it caused it to bud early. Yeah. But it was cut down by the police yesterday. This marijuana plant would have continued to grow and produce more bud. So you can imagine, I'm telling you that I think probably the value of just this single marijuana plant that I'm holding in my hand here could easily be around, say, $500.
Because it would have had another month to grow.
It would have had even another month to grow. So you can see that this was a well-grown plant. It really was. And so these are we're noticing here that the people who choose to do this, they are becoming they're becoming more knowledgeable in what they do, and they're growing these plants to produce more bud and more yield with the same size of plant. So this was just one of many from yesterday, and I thought I would just sort of give people, general public, and sort of a bit of an understanding of what it is. Now, some of these ranged in size. I mean, here's just another one, a little bit smaller, but you can again see that the amount of bud on this plant was quite impressive compared to say a plant such like this. This is a plant that hasn't begun to bud yet, or did, but very small amounts. So the street value, although relatively the same size here, you can see the considerable difference in the bud on this one here. Another thing we found out of yesterday's grow too was some of them were absolutely tall. I mean, yesterday this one's drooped a little because we've cut it. Well, I'm 6 feet tall, so the tallest stem is higher than I am. looking again, now this unfortunately has shriveled a lot because we killed the plant yesterday. But these buds yesterday looked like the buds on the other plant. Imagine how much, if they were allowed to grow. I mean, this plant would yield well over $1,000 worth of marijuana.
Yeah, you can smell it from here. And plus it would have another month to grow still.
It would have continued to grow, absolutely. So, you know, this is just, we felt was a good investigation, and obviously we were able to, you know, seize a large quantity of marijuana. And so there were 150 plants that were seized from this marijuana grow. And, you know, and as well, we see some firearms from that investigation as well. And I'm not going to speak specifically to this investigation because it's before the courts. But I can speak generally to cultivation of marijuana and my general comments having nothing to do or pass any judgment on this case. But generally, when you're producing marijuana at this level, I mean, I'm being very conservative when I tell you that the street level value of all these would have been at $90,000. We're saying $90,000 because that's what it is right now, before any of those smaller plants began to bud. Whether or not the people who are growing marijuana cultivation grows this size are directly related to organized crime, maybe they're not. There still becomes that transition of taking your yield at the end of the year and trying to find somebody to convert it into, you know, the money is why they're growing it. And so you can see that even whether or not they're linked to organized crime or not, it's a lucrative area where they, you know, they feel that, you know, firearms usually have to be part of the equation and things like that. Certainly, again, speaking specifically yesterday in the facts, is that we seized firearms from residences, and one of the firearms was loaded, you know, right beside in one of the houses that one of the suspects was arrested in. And so, you know, there are several people in Kaslo who say, well, there are several growers out there and on, but it is a lucrative business, and you know, it can become dangerous. And we realize that even if a lot of people say to me in the community of Kaslo, well, there are some very good people in this community that grow a few plants just to make ends meet, and I'm not denying that. But at a certain point, there becomes a very awkward transitional moment where, you know, you're thinking, well, whatever you're doing is innocent, gets into that grayer area, and you know, the people, I don't perceive the people yesterday to be linked to organized crime, but yet you can see that the general atmosphere of it was one where there was firearms involved as well. So.
Right, and then I guess when you are trying to sell it, then you're dealing with other types of people.
Absolutely.
Because I remember going with the outdoor grow bust, whatever we did a few years ago. Yes. And then that's what they talked about. Like most people, maybe there's people that sell it little bits throughout the whole year, but most people want to get all their return right away and sell it as a big, whatever, bunch, all of it all at once, and then that's where you're dealing with lots of sketchy people, I suppose.
Absolutely, yeah, and you know, whether those people are coming here or whether, you know, the marijuana is going there, it's just not part of the dynamic in this community that I've grown to love now. Is certainly not something that I want, and recognizing that this is undeniably a common thing that happens in the Kootenays. We can't turn a blind eye to it, and we can't say that, well, this is normal, because it is going to bring in the links of organized crime and violence and things like that. So
can I ask you just a little bit, how is it, we've heard about a few busts now, and not just in our little area, it seems like the Kootenays, as the police backed up their fighting drug.
Yeah, well, certainly I don't know what it is in other areas. I know specifically in Kaslo, you know, as a detachment